Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello there, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Gettin Sketchy Live, the greatest live broadcast in all of YouTube. What we do here on Getting Sketchy, for those of you who don't know, is we try to create a drawing for you inside, or a painting. Last week we did a painting inside of 45 minutes for your entertainment and for your educational nourishment. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Did you write that?
No, I just made that up.
That's good.
Anyway, and it's brought to you by a couple of sketchy dudes, one of them being myself. That's the name, Getting Sketchy. And this is all live for you here on YouTube. Anyway, tonight we're going to be completing the final drawing of the season. But we will have one more episode next week of this season. This is season 13. And next week, we're going to be critiquing all the artworks that we did. We're going to take a look at all the artworks. We're going to talk about them. And it's a valuable show, so don't miss it. So it'll be at the same time next week. But we have one more drawing, like I said. And Ashley's going to be doing the drawing. And he's sitting right over there. Ashley is. How you doing this evening?
I'm well, Matt. Thank you for asking. I hope you folks are doing well also. I've just been over here studying my reference, trying to figure out what we're going to do with all this stuff in the picture. So we'll look at it together. We'll look at the materials, and I hope that you're going to be drawing along with me, even if it's not in pastel. Draw along.
And if you want to have your own copy of the photo reference that Ashley is going to be working from, we'll have it up on the screen, but if you want to have it for yourself, you can get it by going to the YouTube channel. So you're probably watching this, but you're not on the YouTube channel. To get to the channel, click on the little icon of my face in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, and then YouTube changed things. So it used to be the community tab. Now it's called the posts tab, which is hard for me to say. Posts tab, and click on the post tab, and then you'll see at the top of the post, if you're going there tonight, you'll see a description of what we're doing tonight with a link back to this video and the photo reference for you to have. And if you are new to the channel, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe, click on the notification bell, all that stuff. Give this video a like if you like it. And if you're watching the recorded version of this, make sure you leave a comment below. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the membership program at thevirtualinstructor.com. We have a ton of drawing and painting courses on a variety of subject matter and media. We also do weekly live lessons, which are all recorded and stored in our vault. So you can go back and watch all of the live lessons we've ever done. Ashley is continuing to lead us through our current series where we are painting a landscape with oils. And we also do weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute. There's also a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers. The program is extensive, but not expensive. It's very cheap and affordable, and everyone starts out with a week-long trial for free. If you want to learn more about the program, you can just scan the QR code on your screen with your smartphone, or you can look for the link in the description below. I would encourage you guys to check it out, obviously. And if you want to just check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free, you can do that as well. And that will also put you on our mailing list. There's a link in the description below the video for that as well. And some of you guys, you should be on the newsletter list. You should be on the email list, because I send you a lot of free art lessons, a lot of them. So if you're not on that already, links are in the description below. All right, I think that's all the stuff I need to say, but I'm looking at the chat box, guys. If you, one more thing I need to say, and there is a chat box if you're watching it live. If you have a comment or question that's directed at Ashley or I, if you will, we ask that you use the super chat function, which will help out the channel, and it will prominently display your comment or question. Plus, you get a really cheesy cheer from us if you do that. But you can also put your comment or question all capital letters. That will help me see it a little bit easier amongst all the other comments and questions. And I'll do my best to keep up with the chat box tonight. Now I've said everything, although I see some of you are talking about how cold it is. It was really warm this past weekend and beautiful. And now it's not anymore. It is absolutely miserable outside where we are. My computer's telling me that it's maybe snowing right now, but I think it's really more likely just rain. But it's really, really cold.
It's the coldest rain you can have without it turning to snow.
Yes, it is absolutely miserable. And many of you who know me know how much I hate cold weather. I really hate the winter. I like sunshine and warmth, but hopefully we'll have it again sometime soon. But it looks like a lot of you are in the same boat here, judging from your comments.
You know, when it's cold and rainy or snowy outside, it's good to stay in and draw. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point.
And we've got a nice, warm, hot subject for us.
And Ashley's under the hot lights over there, too. So
That's right. That's right. It's getting hotter.
Yeah. All right. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go ahead and switch over.
All right.
All right, so as you can see, again, we're going to work on black paper. Our reference is a welder, and nice, hot, warm colors. It seems almost like a monochromatic color scheme, orange. But there's yellow in there. There's gray. It's not really a color. There's just a touch of blue. If you look at the inside collar of our welder, there's just a touch of blue. A complementary color to all the orange. So
you could almost push this to a split complementary color scheme.
Yeah, you could. It's kind of got the yellow orange in there.
A little red.
I've gone ahead and selected some colors, some different pastels, different brands, and size, sticks, and shapes. So we've got some new pastels down here on the right. I've got some wider, normal width pastels. These are Dick Blick brand pastels. I'm not really sure who makes them. And then we've got quite a few Derwent pencils and one Stabilo in there. So quite a variety of pastels, all fall colors, if you will, or at least they're warm colors, mostly around orange and brown and some yellow. I do have a blue, that's for the collar. And then, of course, black, white, and gray. Our welder's helmet is a black, shiny helmet. I don't know if I'll use the black because I've got the black paper, and I intend to use it. I intend to expose or leave the paper exposed, partially to manage some of the darker colors, and then of course completely for the areas of black in the artwork. And I also have a tiny little stump that I stole out of Matt's drawing drawer. So this may look familiar to you.
I knew I was missing that.
Yeah.
No,
so
absolutely not.
It's the only one that didn't have a black material on the tip, so I'm borrowing that. And I didn't stop there.
I'm surprised you found one without black material.
I had to dig to the bottom. And this is also Matt's electric eraser. It's just like mine, except it's got batteries in it, so I'll be using it tonight. And I also have a stick eraser, just the type with a plunger. And we may use it a little bit also, just because, just have a little bit more control over my erasing. There's also a kneaded eraser that'll probably come into play. It's great for tapping out the darker values. Our pastels go down pretty strong, pretty bright, and we can pull them back. Not only with our stump, but also with our kneaded eraser. And then if we didn't have a pink eraser, then what are we doing? So I've got a pink eraser that I may not use.
You are using a plastic or vinyl eraser, a rubber eraser, and a kneaded eraser.
Yeah, that's right. Those are all of our erasers.
The only one that's missing is the gum eraser. I've got one in the drawer if you want it.
Erasers from first grade.
Yeah.
That's not going to make an appearance.
And before you go in there, we were talking a little bit about the colors. Mary Elizabeth says Zorn colors, but
I guess so.
You got some blue in there.
That's right. There's this dull. It's kind of like a navy blue. So I don't know. Let's see.
Minus the blue, you would be more in alignment with the Zorn colors.
Right. Minus the blue. And you know what? Because that is the only blue. We could probably just make it gray, like we would do with the Zorn palette, and it would probably appear blue or bluish.
Yeah, but I like the blue. I think the blue's going to pop against the orange.
We're going to throw a pop in.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's about it. As far as the composition goes, it's one of those compositions that sort of has a line from the bottom left corner to the top right corner, and everything below that almost is positive space, and most of the area above that is negative space, and that's a type of a composition I like to see. So it's probably had something to do with the way choice I made and how I cropped it. This image is from Pixabay. It's a copyright-free image, and it was much larger. This is really just the center. I zoomed in on the focal point. So we've got the welding sparks down in that bottom left quadrant, and then the helmet and the man's face is more in the top right, which kind of, hopefully our eyes will move back and forth. And There's a little perspective in there. The pipes that kind of lead us, the welder's subject, those pipes that kind of lead us into the composition. So I like it. I think it's really cool. And I'm an amateur welder, a very amateur welder. So it's a subject that speaks to me in that way. Also, this is the final drawing of the season. So this is like fireworks. This is our grand finale, our fireworks. We can see it right there in the artwork. And that contributed to my choice as well. I wanted to try to go out with a bang, so to speak. So we'll see how it turns out in about 45 minutes.
Someone's asking if this is AI. I don't know if they're talking about us or the image.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think this is AI.
And interestingly, on Pixabay, you can filter the searches and filter out the AI. And I'm pretty sure I did that because most of the AI is pretty recognizable.
Yeah.
Some of it, not so much. So I think I filtered out the AI.
Yeah, people with 5 or 6 fingers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. My son noticed that some business around here had created a cartoon character for their logo and had it printed in vinyl up on the wall of their restaurant. And it was like a guy carrying a Subway sandwich or something, and he had an extra finger. So, so the kids are really good at spotting AI, but sometimes I'm tricked. I'm naive, easily fooled. All right, that's about it. Are there any more questions or comments, or have I forgotten to mention anything that would be useful before we begin sketching? I do have just a regular. It's an F pencil, which is very close to a number 2 pencil. It's right next to HB, so it's a pretty standard pencil. That's about. We're going to get started with the pencil. We'll try to bust our drawing out in about 10 minutes or so, and then move on to pastels.
All right, are you ready for the timer to start?
Yeah, ready for the timer. Let's do it.
Timer begins now.
All right. So I did draw a line to kind of bisect my canvas so I can hold up my pencil in front of my reference and sort of judge the 2 halves. But mostly I'll be looking at the edge of the picture plane and how that relates to my subject to try to get him approximately where he's going to belong. Start with some light lines. I hope they're showing up for you guys. I know they're faint.
Buddy says, Ashley, this is a very challenging composition to learn from. Thanks for being so dedicated to make us tackling new challenges.
Oh, you're welcome. And this is going to be a challenge for me, too.
Edie points out that the surfaces in AI are very smooth and lacking in detail.
Yeah, that's how we can usually recognize them, is a lack of realistic texture.
And another question here. Did I miss which paper you are using? Is this black pastel matte paper?
That's what I forgot to mention. This is Canson Mitance paper, and this is the smoother side or the smoother surface.
Yeah, Mitance paper has, both sides are suitable for pastel applications, but one side has a heavier tooth, and the other side still has a fairly heavy tooth, but it's not as heavy as the other side.
I'm pretty sure that's what this is. I mean, it feels really smooth.
If it's really smooth, it might be.
But I know it was Canson. I know it was a Canson.
Oh, it's Canson
because I remember the sticker that was on there.
It might be a Colorline paper.
It may be. It may be. I'll have to flip
Colorline
it over.
is smoother, but it's a little. It feels it's a little thicker paper.
All right, just working our way around these curves, and I'm still looking at the edges. The paper is very close to the same proportion as the picture. I think it might be just a touch wider, by maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. My paper size, incidentally, is 5 inches across by about 6 1/4. About 6 1/4. Mm-hmm.
So you've drawn this grid on your paper, but there's not a grid on the reference. Do you have a reference that has a grid over it?
I do. I have a reference with a line through it, and I put a mark here.
So if you're wanting to do the same thing, you can easily do that. Just bisect the image vertically and horizontally.
Just kind of nice to know about where the middle is sometimes. All right. Work our way down the goggles. This is a serious helmet. right, just making a little adjustments to the brim. I think it was out a little too far. And maybe, these are really curvy parts. And they're a little bit more challenging to capture the first time through. So I've left myself 10 minutes for this sketch, but I do feel like the helmet's going to take the most.
Yeah, you're spending some time on the helmet there.
Yeah.
So you're just looking at areas of contrast where you see a dark value next to a light value, and that's where you're putting a line. Is that about right?
Yeah, wherever I can find an edge there, and that's pretty much where the highlights are.
Now, are you going to be leaving the black of the paper to work for the shadowed areas?
Right. So not like a normal pastel, where we would really cover the paper and build up a lot of layers. All right, for the collar, again, it's very close to the edge of our picture plane. And I'm going to bounce back over, work off of the corner of our goggles, our helmet. And this is a little bit like a Kylo Ren mask. Okay.
Enrique asked, "Hey Matt, I'm watching the TV of Virtual Instructor, and I'd like to know if the schedule of the shows are available only for members." Yeah, and what Enrique's talking about is TVITV, which stands for the Virtual Instructor TV. And what I do is each month, this is a new thing. I have a live stream going, and it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And each month I rotate more content in. Well, actually, there's going to be 6 pieces of content every month. And those 6 pieces of content do come from the membership program. So they're from our courses, our live lessons. So you can watch and get an idea of what to expect if you do become a member. And to find that, you just go to thevirtualinstructor.com and click on the live tab at the top. And then there's 3 different versions. There's 3 different options. There's our live art classes, which are streamed each week for members and then recorded. Then there's also TVITV, which I just mentioned. And then there's Gettin Sketchy, which you're watching right now. So the most recent episode of Gettin Sketchy is there available to you as well. But TVITV, I'll take one lesson from a module of a course and include it, and I'll take one lesson from a live lesson series and include it. And the courses and classes listed underneath the video are what what the content is from. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, everything that you see on TVITV is available for members, but you can watch the stream. And it's just pieces of courses and lessons, but you still can learn a lot from it and gather a lot from it. I even find that I turn it on by myself when I'm in the studio and just let it play in the background. So, I mean, even if you're a member and you haven't come across some of this content, it's a good way to get exposed to some of the stuff on the website, because there is so much. The last time I counted, it was close to 2,000 videos. So that is a lot of lessons. And a lot of those lessons are an hour long. So there's a whole lot of content, and it's easy to overlook some of the stuff that's available there too for you. So the TVITV is a way to kind of get exposed to new things and also kind of get an idea of what the program is all about as well. And looks like we got a super chat, so it's time for the cheer here.
Yeah!
And that super chat is from Turtle, and the comment is, "I wear that kind of helmet when I critique my wife."
Huh. It's probably
man.
safe. Probably safe.
I don't know if that's because she's fiery, I guess. But he says, TVITV is fantastic. I have it running every time I am drawing. Just perfect. Thanks so much, Matt. Thank you, buddy. And
got our long pipes down here, kind of aiming at the corner.
now, when you weld at home,
Yes.
I assume you're wearing some kind of face protection.
Oh yeah, and gloves like that are really tall, come up high in my arms. And the welding masks are pretty awesome nowadays. When I was in college, you couldn't see through them, so you had to get your hands set and then shake your head to flip the mask down over your eyes.
Yeah,
and then
I've seen people
welding.
do that. Yeah,
Right, but nowadays the masks are clear, and as soon as you start, as soon as the first spark is visible, the mask goes black. It's instantaneous. It's really cool, and you can see what you're doing. You don't have to flip it up and down, because sometimes you'd flip the mask down, and your hands would just shift a little bit, and you'd start your weld in the wrong place and have to move it over once you could see in the light. So pretty cool. And I use mine for viewing eclipses. Doesn't happen often, but anytime I get a chance, I use them for viewing eclipses.
By the way, that is not advice for you to use a welding mask to look at eclipses, just in case. Yeah.
The reason I thought of it is because I used the sun to test it, to make sure it still has a charge. It still has, it hasn't.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't want to spark the welder and blind myself. Yeah. So I put the mask on. I go out and look at the sun and make sure that it turns black, and then I start welding.
Yeah.
But it's probably been more than a year since I've had a welding project. So, Matt, I have an idea for a welding project.
Oh, really?
I want to design the perfect divot repair tool.
Oh, yeah. I think you mentioned.
I might tell you about that.
Yeah.
I also have a design for a pure strike golf club that teaches you to hit the sweet spot.
Well, don't give all your
only because I can't hit the sweet spot.
Don't give all your ideas away there.
Okay, I think we've got enough of our drawing in. There's a lot of details down here that are just marks, and so I'm not even going to bother to draw those. We'll draw those right in with the pastel or with the stump. So, Howard, look at that. Okay, 10 minutes.
10 minutes. You spent 10 minutes.
Right on track. All right, so we'll go ahead and start spreading some pastel, and going to shovel it around and put it down and lift it and just see how that goes.
Okay.
And then I plan to put those areas in the background, and I'm actually going to start there because I want to have a place I can go to, like a little pallet, and load up my stump to take to the helmet where, I'm not going to use a lot of gray or black in the helmet. I'm trying to do it mostly with white, where except for the front where the reflection is more of a yellow-orange.
Yeah. Edie says, I looked up TVI-TV and a Spanish language channel comes up. Yeah, probably so if you did like a Google search or something like that. There's a lot of stuff on the internet that Google does not pick up on or doesn't know about. And I bet you TVI-TV is one of those things.
Probably one of those. Yeah.
So the way you would come across that or find that, Edie, is to go to the website, thevirtualinstructor.com, and then click on the live tab in the main menu, and then click on TVI-TV, and it'll come up there.
All right, we have some light. We have some marks in here.
Definitely interesting to start with the background.
Well, like I said, it's I'm using it like a palette.
Right, which makes total sense.
We'll add more to those little spots and then pull out of them. So that's the plan. Working without a plan here. And ultimately we'll probably have a pretty loose, pretty painterly look with our process. Taking advantage of the black paper.
Yeah, it does. Looking at this through the screen, it does look like the paper is pretty smooth.
Yeah, it is smooth. But it's good for this.
Good for the
method.
Yeah, good for the blending there. Yeah, especially with a limited amount of time, you're not going to really be able to put a whole lot of layers on the surface.
Right.
And you're also using the black of the paper for the dark areas, so it is a little bit atypical for a pastel drawing.
Yeah, it's a little more like we would work with just charcoal or white charcoal.
Yeah.
But we're throwing some color in there too.
Yeah, that highlight up there is really nice already.
Yeah, it looks good.
This guy's helmet does kind of look like something you might see from a Star Wars movie or something,
Load up our stump again. And the electric eraser is to dig out our blacks where we might lose them. All right, let's see. And hopefully all these marks, a lot of them will be sort of floating out there on the page somewhere. Hopefully they'll come together.
What's interesting is
literally, but to make the picture in the end.
When we work on white paper, there's so much dark material we have to apply to the surface to make it look finished.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
But when we work on a black surface, there's not nearly as much work that you have to put into it to make it feel complete, because there's so much dark in most of the imagery that we see and most of the world around us, actually.
Yeah, those Baroque artists had it all figured out. Then the Impressionists came along with their white canvases, and we've been working hard, laboring over our white surfaces ever since. So.
Mary Elizabeth says, "Are you blowing the pastel dust at Matt?"
No, he's too far away.
No, I'm a pretty good distance away from Ashley, although it might not seem like that. That's the case, but I guarantee you, it will bother me a little bit.
Yeah, it's still going to be in the air tonight.
Yeah.
Something in the air tonight.
Yeah.
And it's pastel. I can feel it.
I can sneeze it coming in the air tonight. I really do love the way those light pastels pop, though.
Yeah, they are strong on the black paper.
The paper he's using is black paper, and I think, yeah, obviously it's black paper, but I think actually it's probably Colorline paper by Canson.
It does have a tooth on one side. This side just seems so smooth. All right.
Yeah, I have a sheet of Colorline paper. I have a couple of sheets of Colorline paper. I'll grab it, and we'll find out for sure. This paper, to me, appears, and I haven't touched the paper or anything, but it appears like it has less tooth than the Mitance paper.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to grab a sheet of the Colorline, and we can compare.
All right. That mark is right on one of our pencil lines. Just trying to use the very corners. Oh gosh, you can see my hand shaking. Just use the very corners of our implement here. Knock that back a touch. You can see there's a little tooth in there. There's a little bit. So it's not entirely smooth, but pretty smooth. These really subtle dark areas, much easier with the black paper. We could do this on white paper, but it would take a lot more mixing and layering to make it happen. Let's see.
Let's see. So this is the Colorline.
That may be it, because it does have a pronounced texture on one side still.
Yeah, the textures are different.
Yeah. All right. It's Canson Colorline paper. Let's get
I felt like I only had to go through about 5 drawers to find that. So there we go. Now we have the real answer.
Yeah, mystery solved.
Black Canson Colorline paper. Enrique says, thanks for the answer, Matt. For how many years you and Ashley are art instructors? ? You're drawing so fast.
Oh, 21.
Yeah, I started teaching when I was 23, I think. And I will be 48 on Monday. So
You got me beat by a couple years.
yeah, just a couple. Yeah, because you came in a couple years after I'd been teaching.
That's right.
Man.
After I finished wasting my youth.
But we have been drawing for much longer than that,
Yes.
obviously. But
Pretty much all our lives, and even when we were teenagers, we would draw together.
yes, we got very good at drawing very quickly in church.
right. And caught some stares too.
Yeah, we got in trouble all the time in church.
Oh,
But he says,
fun
I
years.
am working on a colored pencil drawing on pastel mat. If I liked to use the color of the paper for the overall appearance of the drawing, would it be okay to not fill in all the tooth of the paper? And my answer to you, buddy, would be no. I would fill in all of the tooth of the paper, especially with a colored pencil drawing. I feel like colored pencil drawings kind of feel incomplete unless all of the surface has been covered. The only exception to that would be if you're doing like a drawing like with marker and colored pencil, and it's more of a straightforward type of like illustration kind of image, which might be what you're doing. But you said that you were working on pastel matte paper, and pastel matte paper has a pretty heavy pronounced tooth. So with colored pencils, what you'll find with the pastel matte paper, and probably you've already found this out, is with your edges where an object ends and meets the background, which would be the color of your paper, you'll have a rough edge because the texture of the paper is rough. So it will kind of help to make the drawing look unfinished. Where if you're working on a smoother surface like marker paper and you're using markers alongside with colored pencils, you would be able to get those sharp edges, and a plain white background would possibly be suitable for what you're doing. So hopefully that makes sense. So the pastel matte paper, because it has such a heavy tooth, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get sharp edges around the edges. So I would suggest, finishing the entire drawing with colored pencils. You also could use pastels in the background with pastel matte paper. So if you wanted to, speed up the process, you could use pastels for the background and colored pencils for whatever's in the foreground. Yeah, well, thank you for all the birthday wishes, guys. I really was not throwing it out there to get happy birthdays. Once you reach a certain age, like a birthday is less of a celebration.
It's a reminder of your mortality.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like, my family keeps asking me what I want to do for my birthday, and I really just not want to have a birthday. I really would just like to be 47 for the rest of my life.
Uh-huh. All right, so put down a couple of layers. We'll work those in some. Since we are working so smooth with the stump and the helmet, we really need to keep that going for some unity in the look and in our mark making. I don't have much of a hand here to address because of all of our sparks that are going to be coming out. Let's see. I didn't point it out, but this little triangle here, I drew that floating. There's nothing around it, and I used the information in the helmet to follow down and determine where this little triangle went. And I drew that triangle in and then filled in the arms and some of the body around it. So I used that empty shape as a way to capture the relationship of the body, the forward hand, and the trail arm. Oops, wrong color. Break out some gray here. Actual gray.
Someone suggested, Pat says, buddy, you could use pan pastels for the background. Yeah, that's really what I was thinking. Pan pastels, they're going to go on much smoother, but you could use traditional pastels if you don't have any pan pastels as well. But yeah, pan pastels is an excellent suggestion. And Oreo Bun asked, do you have any beginner videos? Yes, I would say of the videos that we have on the site and the lessons, half of them are designed for beginners. At least half of them are designed for beginners.
Trying to find the right color. They're all so similar.
Keith asked, have you used the new pastel grain paper? I have not. I'm assuming Ashley hasn't either.
No, I haven't.
Who makes pastel grain? Is that the brand name? I guess I'll return a question back to you.
This is kind of a purple color that I'm using for the inside of the jacket. It's not the exact color, but I like it. And you know, with pastels, you don't really get the exact color unless you are doing a lot of mixing. We're not doing a lot of mixing. We'll soften this up as well and drag some of it out into the darkness. And then we have our little flash of blue.
Mark, I'm seeing your comment. People who say I don't mind getting older don't have bad knees, and yet right now I have already torn my meniscus and had knee surgery. And when they took the meniscus out, they said I would have to have a knee replacement within the next 10 years. And as we speak, my knee is bothering me again. So I totally get that comment. I also have a rib injury that has been plaguing me for about the last 3 weeks, and it hurts really bad to sleep. So yeah, your body just starts falling apart, and it's extremely frustrating and a constant reminder, like Ashley said, of your mortality.
Yeah, I'm dealing with some of that kind of stuff too, and I'm having a hard time accepting it, but it doesn't matter if I accept it. It's going to happen anyway.
Bear in the Garden says, I've heard that Canson Mitante's velvet is like pastel matte, but without the textural flaws present in pastel matte paper sometimes. I have never used the Mitante's velvet. That's interesting. But I also haven't really noticed the textural flaws in pastel matte paper either. That's not to say that they're there. But I'll have to look into that velvet paper. Perhaps I'll draw Elvis on it.
Now I've got that song in my head. Black Velvet.
Oh, yeah. Now it's in mine. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, let's see. We've got 20 minutes to go. So there's no time to dilly-dally.
Okay. Claire Fontaine, the same manufacturer that makes pastel matte paper, makes the paper that Keith pointed out to us. Pastel grain. Since it's called pastel grain, I would assume that it's probably got a heavier tooth than pastel matte paper. Turtle says, I've been 31 for about 6 years.
Keep it going,
That's
Turtle.
pretty good.
Keep going. It's a pretty good record. Pocket here. And of course, you know, I'm smoothing all this out, but we may have to go back and pump it back up a little bit. We'll see.
I just want to point out how much that mark of blue stands out against all the other warm colors.
You know, it's just hanging out up there by itself.
It's really nice. I like it.
Get our guy all the way over here to the edge of our picture plane now. Pump that one back up. Took off a little too much. And there's a blue spot there too. So start to see all the little things you missed when you picked out your reference. There we go. Okay, now I had a color for this glove, so it may take me a moment to decide. I think this is it. It's gonna be. Now, I got home yesterday. It was a big hawk in my front yard in my tree. It was squawking at me. And I don't know, Matt, I've probably mentioned this to you. I have it's on my bucket list to learn falconry. So I held out my arm, hoping that the bird would come and rest on it. And my son said, wouldn't that hurt your hand? So I told him, I said, I've got welding gloves. Go get the welding gloves. But then it flew away. So I told him, I said, I probably need something to draw him here, like a piece of meat or something like that. So I'm going to try to.
That sounds a little dangerous.
I'm going to try to capture a hawk.
Wouldn't that be hawkertree?
Well, it's still falconry. They're still falcons, I believe. Not sure how that classification works, but we don't have too many falcon breeds here in America, so it's going to have to be a hawk. And I don't know what kind of commitment that is. Like, can you still go on vacation? What do you do with the hawk when you're gone? But
you're like seriously thinking about containing a wild animal.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I love hawks. I see one almost every day.
Yeah.
So they're all over the place.
Well,
Turtle, give them a good home.
Turtle asked a question. Why are you not blending with your finger? I can't find the question, but it's
okay.
But there's a real logical answer for that.
It's a pretty small drawing.
Yeah.
And my hands aren't large, but they're too large to get into some of these places. So I'm not above smearing with my fingers, and I think I probably tapped a couple of spots out with one of my fingers, but it's just so tiny. That's why I need something more like the electric eraser, because it's got a small tip, and then also the stump that we are using almost everywhere tonight. Now, some of these, part of the reason the stump's handy is because we need to create soft edges, particularly all along here, where the light meets the shadow in the arm. So it's really great for that.
I love this comment by Buddy. She says, Ashley, this drawing already turns out so vibrant. You are great in drawing strange subjects.
Thank you so much, buddy.
That is true.
I'm always looking for the unusual.
Turtle's got some advice for you. In order to be a falconry person, it says they have to be raised. Wild falcons cannot be trained.
Okay. Thank you for that.
And Edie also points out that it is illegal to take a bird from the wild.
That part I'm not worried about. So, but I just want it to work.
He's not worried about that.
I'm kidding. If you are a game warden, I am just telling jokes here.
And then Janine says hawks love chicken, raw chicken.
Okay. Not that I'm going to catch one.
There you go. If you want.
But were I to catch one,
when you decide to do that, give me a call, and I'm going to come over, and I just want to videotape
and just watch it maul me in the front yard.
And just
a losing
want a viral video to put on Instagram.
Now about my video where I saved a crow from a hawk. They were in a fight on the ground.
Yeah.
And I spent 10 minutes getting them apart. It was harder than breaking up a dog fight.
Hey guys, break it up.
Yeah. They could care less that I was there because they're mortal enemies and they were determined to hurt each other.
And we got a little bit of question about the pencils that are coming in the screen. Those are indeed pastel pencils.
Yes.
They are not colored pencils.
Right. I'm using mostly Derwent brand pastel pencils. And then this one, sort of the peachy red orange, is a Stabilo. So they are still pastels. Their hardness is probably similar to the new pastel.
Now the Conte Appareil are pretty soft. But you're using Derwent, right?
Yeah, they're mostly Derwent.
Yeah, Derwent's pretty soft.
Yeah,
too.
it is a little softer than the pastel.
The Carbatello Stabilio, however you say it, those pencils are a little harder. They're definitely more like the hard pastels that you got there. Which are those hard pastels? New pastels?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see.
Subtle little marks down here.
Edie says, next live session, Ashley draws a hawk. Next live session, Hulk draws Ashley's blood.
Oh, that's good.
From his arm.
I drew a hawk for my final drawing last season, I think.
Keith says, love that you just assumed that you could hold your hand out and the hawk would fly and land on it.
Things happen. I thought we had a connection.
Hockey.
Right, I thought we had a connection. That's why he was squawking at me.
You could go, try to call it over.
Yeah,
Let's
we
see, I
got
wonder
brand
what
new neighbors across the street, so that's not.
You've got what neighbors?
brand new neighbors.
Oh, okay.
So I got to be my best behavior for a little while.
You got to go out there with the glove then and just start making hawk noises and look around in the trees.
Flapping my arms like an eagle's fin.
Oh, what a sight that would be. Lee says, are the pastel pencils oil-based? No, these pastel pencils and pastels are all based, they have a gum Arabic binder, so there's no oil in these. A lot of people, kind of confuse oil pastels and soft pastels, which is understandable because they're both commonly called pastels, but they're really very different mediums. Oil pastels, of course, are oil-based, and the soft pastels are more closely related to watercolor, actually, than they are oil pastels in their composition, I should say.
Pumping up the temperature a little bit over here in this sleeve. Look a little bit better.
And Terry says, I love this subject. My dad did a lot of welding for his job, and this reminds me of him. I'm going to take more time and do this as an 8x10. And Terry, I can't wait to see that because I feel confident that you'll probably post that on the forum.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
You really get into some of the details. That's a lot more space.
Which reminds me, any of you guys can post your artwork to the forum at thevirtualinstructor.com and get feedback from fellow artists like yourself.
Right now, we got 10 minutes to go. Indicate a little pocket here. A couple black marks back. Couldn't avoid those. And a little bit of orange. Ooh. Knock that back inside of our
All right, you've got somebody here. Lugrelia says, why would you want to take the hawk's freedom? That's if you're speaking of caging it.
I'll give it a good home.
If you're speaking of building a relationship where it comes around often, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I think Ashley wants to keep it and train it.
Did I take my cat's freedom?
I think he wants
to take my dog's freedom.
I don't think you can take a cat's freedom. They will not.
Right, you're right. The cats do whatever they want.
Right.
You got that right. The cats stay until they don't want to stay. I hope. I lost a cat a few years ago, and I hope he just found another good home. I think it was coyotes, but I like to imagine that he just moved on, or she.
Did you know if it was a boy or a girl?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a boy cat now, so I just got a little confused, but I miss my old cat. She was wonderful, and I'm afraid it was the coyotes. In fact, I just saw one last week down in the woods behind my house. So we're really monitoring the movements of our current cat, Klaus, making sure he stays safe. He stays indoors most of the time, but he does go outside and just stays right around the house for short periods, like 20 minutes at a time.
Now, Mark says your cat took your freedom.
Yeah, that's right. I work for the cat.
And here's a question for you, Ashley. Do you remember Operation Coyote?
Yes. Oh boy, that's a blast from the.
Yeah, it is. Something we won't discuss here on YouTube,
that.
but
that's just between me and Matt forever.
And Raymond. And Raymond. Wasn't Raymond there
right.
too? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Operation Cody, take 2.
Edie says, be careful. A tame wild animal is not the same as a domesticated animal.
Yeah, that's probably true. Well, I don't know if my dream of falconry will ever materialize, but maybe I could just volunteer.
Maybe you could get involved in pigeonry.
At a rescue.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I could just do that.
Yeah, but are there hawk rescue centers around here?
For sure. Yeah, because they get hurt. They get hurt too. You know, there's like the turtle rescue down by the coast. So surely the mountainy areas and foothills have hawk rescues. I'll have to check that out. That would be a good way to get close to them and not get hurt.
Catherine says, dogs have owners, cats have staff. That's pretty true. Edie says, we've had coyotes in Central Park. People probably think they're just strays.
Yeah, they probably do.
Yeah, or inhabitants of Central Park.
I mean, I don't wish the Cody's harm, but I do want to keep my cats safe.
Yeah. Samuel said,
I know they got to eat too. They just need to eat somebody else's cat, not mine.
Samuel says, hi, Matt. First time catching Getting Sketchy live. So wonderful to see a lot of people from the virtual instructor in here. Yeah, I'm surprised, Samuel, this is your first time catching Getting Sketchy. Samuel is a regular there in the live lessons that we do on the website. Let's see. Terry says, I had a sharp shinned hawk hanging out by my feeders a couple days ago. It wanted to eat my little birds, who were wise and left. I did some good hawk photos. I did get some good hawk photos, maybe for a future drawing. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We have bird feeders too, so that, not much action this time of year, but maybe that's why the hawks hang around.
When my smallest dog, Lambo Calrissian, was a baby dog, we had an owl in our backyard that would come around, and I know owl was wanting to eat him. Yeah. Yeah.
Looked like dinner.
Yeah. It was a big owl.
Well, I love birds of prey. Owls and hawks, I'm fascinated by them. Okay. We don't want to put too much. I don't want to put too much information down here because it's not, I don't want it to overshadow our sparks that'll be going in soon. So we'll pull those back with an eraser. But it is a nice area of rhythm because of all that repetition. This was an empty shape again that was drawn. It helps define the bottom of the glove. Negative shape.
A few comments here. Keith says you can often find participatory. I don't know why I'm having trouble reading tonight. Falconry demos at fairs and the like. Why not give one of those a try?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Collect some information.
And Terry says, hi, Matt. Artsy Crochet says, Matt, I bought some of the velvet paper on Blix, and it's almost has a leathery velvet feel. It is heavy and really, really soft, only in sheets, and $8.99 each. Okay. Well, that's expensive, but that's not crazy to spend that much money on a piece of paper. And I'll have to check that out for sure. Catherine says, Ashley, this is really coming to life.
Thank you.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
And Dale says, strong contrast images on black paper can be so impressive. For sure. And they photograph really well, too. Another thing that's working really well for Ashley's drawing is the contrast in physical texture on the surface. He's got some blended areas, and he's got some areas that aren't blended.
Right. I've gone back and put some really fresh marks on the edges and on top of some of those softer areas that need to stay, they need to stay pure and hot. So we won't mess with those too much. That's kind of nice. Building it up a little bit.
I'll tell you, this is really going to come together when you put the sparks in.
Right.
When you put that sparks in, yeah, that's, and then you start putting a little bit more light on that front of that helmet. Boy, it's going to pop.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
This up a little bit. Oh.
And Terry says that Artsy Crochet says the velvet papers by Canson. Buddy says, would actually Blix be a good source for art supplies in the States to look for? Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah. Yep. Enrique says, amazing drawing, Ashley.
Thank you so much.
And there's still 3 minutes left.
Well, we're going to have to get to the hot spot now, I think. I've been putting it off long enough. Well, there's been plenty to do. And there's, a lot of information that we can only hint at in here, but that's what makes it a sketch and makes it feel a little loose and painterly. So one of these edges had more gray on it. Probably enough in the background. We'll just go ahead and fill our palettes back up here, little palettes that we use to load our stump goes back just right in the middle. It'll make them feel blurry. I had a little hard time building this one up there. It's okay. All right. Let's see now. A little bit more orange in here now. Didn't do as much erasing in there as I thought I would.
All right.
We have some time.
Your falconry dreams may be closer than you think, Ashley. Pat says, tell Ashley, Curtis Wright Falconry near Asheville seems to offer classes.
Oh my goodness, I could drive there.
You could drive there if you can make it there.
Curtis Wright.
I guess I-40's open all the way through Asheville.
I was going to say, I hope he's doing well, or they're doing well, and that the birds are safe, because it's been tough for our Western North Carolina brothers and sisters lately. All right. Time for the sparks. We'll just start with some white.
But he says, Matt, your video about how to practice with purpose has become my this year goal to work for. Thanks. You're welcome. Glad that is helpful to you. Oh, yeah. Getting the light in there now.
It's even more like a Kylo Ren helmet with all these sparks.
That was an angle of Ashley's head.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll go back here. There we go.
Apologize.
Well, I switched over without knowing what was going to be visible there.
All right, now let's see. Oh my gosh. Time's up. I got to stop. We got to stop here, guys.
All right, the drawing is finished. It's done. The clock is finished.
I didn't realize, so. I'm going to have to sharpen this.
Uh-oh. More time.
I know.
We'll just get rid of the timer there.
There we go.
Now there is no time.
I feel so much more relaxed. All right, now let's see. I didn't bring.
Yeah, we're not stopping, Ann. We're kidding.
Yeah,
we never make it within the time.
Don't turn off your computer.
It's very rare that we actually make it within the time limit.
So I'm floating a ruler. My hand is under one side, over top of the artwork, just so I can have something to rest my hand on while we put in a couple of our stronger sparks. And I feel like making them from like the outside towards our welder. It's probably the way to go for most of these.
Edie, if I knew how to freeze the clock at 44 minutes and 59 seconds, I would definitely do that.
Let's see, what else do we have?
Terry says, I'm always amazed at how complex the drawings are that you select for Gettin Sketchy.
Well, me too. Yeah. So I tried to select something that was easier and simpler when I chose the scissors, and that one was a little bit of a. It's more going on in there than I realized. So I'm just going to keep picking subjects I like, and we finish them or we don't. So might have to go back to the sharpener. I feel like I need some wider marks as well.
Now it's looking like a fire. Keith asks, have you ever done a fireworks display as a subject?
No.
I have not either.
That would be fun.
I think it would be cool to do a kid holding a sparkler.
Oh, yeah, with the light on their face.
Mm-hmm.
That would look good. These marks are so narrow. We'll just make them as skinny as we can. And I tapped a little bit of it out just to, there's kind of some orange just behind all of these marks, it feels like. So, blur that out a little bit. Sure, we've got a sharp corner. Some more orange.
All right. Norleen says it's hard when you're a detail artist to simplify. Great job, Ashley. Susie says looks amazing. Jen looks amazing. Mary Elizabeth, wow.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Your encouragement. Yeah, this I think I would actually maybe like to do this one again as a painting or larger myself. So this may end up becoming a study, a true study for a larger artwork.
Francis asked, what will you use to set the drawing? I think she's asking, are you going to use fixative?
I'll probably mist it with a little tiny bit of fixative. And I don't like to use much, not enough that would prevent it from smearing entirely, just enough to discourage smudging in case it were inadvertently touched. All right, just tap it around a little bit. There's some more black around there. All right, I think we can probably, call this one done. We're good. And not too far over the time limit. Yeah, that looks cool. I mean, there's some values in there that probably could be brighter, and maybe the shapes aren't entirely there. But for a sketch, I'm pretty. Oh gosh.
Hot Potting Mad says, bravo, Ashley. This is looking great. Enjoy your falconry. I love Birds of Prey too. Dale says better than the photo.
Thank you.
And says, I like how it came out. Very nice. Bear in the Garden says, excellent lesson as always. Thanks, guys. Catherine says, love this.
Yeah,
Pat says,
cool.
Wonderful. Janine, fabulous. Cool. Buddy, incredible drawing, Ashley. Really very vibrant with a whole color range. You know, it feels like there's a whole color range.
Yeah.
But there really isn't. This is the magic of limiting a palette.
Yeah. I mean, we've got pretty much oranges, yellows, and browns. But because there's gray and blue in there also, it feels like we worked all the way around the color wheel.
All right.
Cool.
Dale has a request to take the tape off.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do
Ferns English says this is great. Lord Engine says success.
We are. Oh, it's always
Rockflower 62 says awesome. I love it. Samuel says really well done. Ashley Melody says please take the tape off. That seemed like a yell there, Melody, but it's not. I know it's not.
And I did tape my my pants a little bit so it wouldn't tear the paper, and you can see it still took a little bit of paper.
Tape
so good thing we taped the pants.
And for those of you who don't know what tape the pants means, I have a video, surprisingly, not surprisingly,
zoom out a little bit,
on how to keep the tape from tearing your paper. And one of the ways to do that is to tape your clothing before you tape the surface. That allows a little bit of the lint from your clothing to get stuck to the adhesive. And so when you remove the tape, it doesn't remove the paper. Very nicely done. It looks fantastic.
Thank you. I'm happy with it.
Very well done.
So next week we will look at our 10 artworks and talk about what went well, what we do different, and just a general critique about composition. So it's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. That was, let's see. And I think that was the last relevant comment or question. So we'll go ahead and switch over here.
All right, very good.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching that drawing develop as much as I did. It certainly was a great demonstration of using just a few colors on black paper. I think everything came together great for that that live session there. It's good composition, good color relationships, good contrast, and then of course the way that the colors were applied to the surface. Really well done all across the board. So just a reminder, next week, we are going to be looking at all of the drawings and painting that were done this past season. I did 5, Ashley did 5. We're going to go through each piece very quickly and talk about what we felt like we did well and what we would have improved. And we'll also kind of critique each other as well. And then we'll choose our favorites. I'll choose one that I did, and I'll choose one of Ashley's, and he'll do the same. And you'll be able to vote and share your opinion on which ones were your favorite from each one of us as well next week. So don't miss out on that. This will be the last episode of season 13. We'll do what we always do. We'll take a few weeks off before we come back for season 14. Season 14 of Getting Sketchy. That's pretty crazy. Ashley, do you have anything else for the folks out there?
I just hope you guys have a great and safe week, and it warms up wherever you're at. I've had a blast making the drawing tonight. I was really excited about this one, and I hope you're excited about your drawing as well.
Yep. Hopefully you are. And again, you know, if you have artwork that you created from any of the lessons, including the Gettin Sketchy episodes, you know, head over to the forum, post your artwork there. There's a lot of supportive people over there to share your artwork with. We will see you guys next week for Getting Sketchy. For those of you who are going to join us for the live lesson in just a moment, we'll see you in the chat box there in just a few minutes. So last episode of the season next week, guys. With that, we're going to go ahead and sign out for this evening for a little bit of time before we sign back in for the members. But for those of you on YouTube, we're going to say good night. Good night, everybody.